Can you introduce yourself?
My name is KuXXeon. I'm a Rocket League coach for almost 2 years in March. I'm 19 years old and I'm from the Netherlands.
What is your esports and video gaming background?
My gaming, I started gaming when I was like 8 years old on the PS2, but nothing really competitive. I always was competitive though. I always wanted to win. But then in 2015, I found Rocket League. I hate the game at first. And then later, I thought I had nothing to do. I played the game again and I fell in love with the game. And that was the first time I thought, okay, actually, I want to try and go pro because I love this game and I never loved the game this much before. And I did a lot of tournaments with the team, but I was diamond at the time, so I wasn't that good. But I had got a lot of experience from that. So I've been gaming for a while, but esports, I did it, but not on a really, really high level.
What are your thoughts relating to the tutorials and the drills within Rocket League?
I think they're pretty good because especially if you're on PC, you got workshop maps, so people can create maps. And a content creator called Lettermere, he makes a lot of maps, and he made a few really good practice maps, so you can practice your car control in the air. And also free play, so you can just play around a bit. And the custom training they added it later in the game, I think 2017, and it's really good because you can practice different type of shots, different type of defending, and it's really good to get your skills up.
What skills are specifically important in Rocket League?
I think like the way mechanics work, like even if you have esports experience in any other game, there's nothing you can use besides communication from other games because Rocket League is really different. Rotation is true that you do rotation, but not all the time. But in Rocket League, rotation is something you do like every second of the game, and it's really important. Also positioning. If you position your positioning is a bit off. It shows you can maybe correct it with really good mechanics. But in Rocket League, if you have bad positioning, yeah, you probably can't use your mechanics that good. So positioning and rotation are really key components to Rocket League that is really different from any other game.
How do you train those skills individually and as a team?
Yeah, rotation and positioning, you can do it on multiple things. It's just like play the game and see, okay, I made a mistake there. I should adjust there or get a coach because most of the coaches are rotation and positioning coaches, and they try to make the team better. So you can just get a coach there to get better. But mechanics is something you can't do as a team because you have to do it individually and try to work with the ball on your own and get better at those skills.
What are the components or characteristics of the best Rocket League teams?
I think that Rocket League is a really nice game because every team can have a different play style because every player has a different play style. If I look at the best team in Europe at the moment, is Team BDS. They invented a really good type of play style that works really good. Is they normally have like a more defensive type of player, a more midfield type of player, and a really offensive, like a striker type of player. But they invented the way that you can have two striker type players and a more midfield type player work together because of really good rotation and really good teamwork. And yeah, every team has a different way of playing that, and you can different play styles work better with different play styles. So every team plays a different way, just like rock paper scissors, but with a lot more different type of components to use.
How do you teach effective communication amongst teammates?
What I do with them is just tell them what's important for your teammates to know. Because if, for example, in a shooter, you don't want to talk every time because you want to hear where maybe people are. But in Rocket League, you can't have like a 1 second of, yeah, you always need to talk. If there's 1 second of quietness, it's you probably make a mistake or there's something going wrong. I just tell them, okay, I want you to call whenever you pick up a boost pad, where it is on the field. So if you steal, if I'm on one side and I pick up their back left, I say I pick up top right because for me it's on the right side, and that's a really important way for a teammate. Okay, he's there in the field, he's there in the field, and also whenever you go for a ball, it's also really important to call that so teammates know that, and just tell my players, call this, call this, call this, and they just try to do it at the best of their ability.
What is good communication versus bad communication in Rocket League?
Good communication. If you have like one of maybe a communication leader is a person. Most of the time, it's someone who's the fastest player on the team because he's moving faster on the field. He knows a lot more. He calls a lot, and his teammates try to fill it in. Or sometimes you can just have like all three of the players have really equal communication. That's good communication when there's no time, when you have never any quietness. But bad communication is when you barely call anything, you don't let your teammates know where you are on the field, because you need to work together and you don't always see where someone is, and especially when it's really quiet, that's really bad communication.
How do you communicate with the players during the match as the coach?
Between games, I try to tell them, okay, this was going wrong, we need to adjust our play style like this so we can win. And sometimes when it's really important, I also do it during a match whenever there's a goal scored, or whenever there's a goal scored. Just when we score a goal, just try to get a lot of positive energy and just hype them up. But most of the time, the most of the communication I do is between matches.
Are there positions in Rocket League? And if so, what are the roles of each player?
Don't really have like a certain position, because I can say I'm more of a defender type player, but I still need to do everything on the field. It's just I'm the most defensive player on the team. So if we are attacking, the defensive player is probably a bit back and doesn't always let his teammates go up more. So you don't really have positions. Everyone needs to do everything, but you still have a way of playing and prefer one doing a specific thing over any other thing.
What are the different kinds of shots in Rocket League and how can they be practiced?
There's a lot. On the ground, you have different type of shots. You can have low shots, high shots, bounce shots, so like a volley. And then in the air, you also have different type of shots. You can get a flip on the ball and then scoop it. You can just shoot it off the wall, go off the ceiling and shoot. There's so much different type of ways. There's multiple ways to practice it. It's a free play. It's a really good place to practice because you can just shoot around. That's what everyone does, is just shoot around and just do random stuff. Or you get going to custom training, and where you can practice, for example, a different type of shot, like a redirect. Someone shoot it at you and you redirect it into the goal. So you have multiple ways of practicing those shots.
How often should a Rocket League player practice individually and as a team?
Do you mean how many hours or how many times?
How many hours a week, really?
Well, it depends on how many time you have, of course. Let's say you have like 8 hours per day to play the game. It's best to probably practice 5 hours, maybe 6 hours on your own, and then 2 hours with your team. So you just do scrims. And yeah, also you have like an hour of coaching, so that's also something you do. But most of the time you just practice individually. If I would say like you practice 70% of the time on your own and 25% with your team, because you want to improve your mechanics, especially in your individual skills. But as a team, you want to improve your rotation and positioning.
Do you have the players create their own drills or do they use the pre-made ones?
Players can create their own, but normally they just use drills that other players or coaches have created, because they're really good. So I see no reason for them to make their own.
What kinds of feedback do you give as a coach?
I'm not a mechanical coach. I don't look at mechanics because it's really different in Rocket League. It's just something you have to practice on your own most of the time. But what I do is just look at a situation where they make a mistake. For example, they rotate in a way that they are in the way of a teammate. I'll just tell them what they're doing wrong and give them different options that were better to do. And that's what I try to do. I'll tell them you made that mistake, and this was a better solution to do in this moment.
What do you recommend for warming up before a Rocket League match?
I'd recommend to do free play, because you can everyone. I have never spoken to anyone who does with some decent level who doesn't do free play. So we just free play. Maybe do a workshop map to get to warm up your car control. So you have more control of your car, and then maybe play some 1v1, because it's really good game mode to improve. And then you're basically ready. If you do that for an hour or 1.5 hours, you're basically ready to get into the match.
How important is positioning and game sense when it comes to to Rocket League?
Oh, it's really important because if you don't have that, then you're basically useless on the field. Before the current meta, it was the most important thing there is. But with the current meta, mechanics have been a lot more useful. But it's really, if you have bad positioning, you can't use your mechanics, and you're always in a really bad spot to get the ball and shoot the ball. So it's one of the most important things there is in the game. If you don't have game sense, then it's really hard for you to play the game.
What else can a Rocket League player do to improve play besides practicing the game?
It's just coaching sessions with a coach, or just look at your own replays and look at the mistakes you make. That's basically the only way you can improve, because Rocket League is such a unique game. There's nothing else that you can really do besides something related to the video game to improve.
I've heard that a lot of PC players use a controller while playing. Is there a reason for that versus the keyboard and mouse?
Yeah, because with a keyboard and mouse, your input is basically instant. So if I want to drive to the left, I'm going hard to the left. And with the controller, you have more precise movement, and it's also easier to perform specific things because all the buttons are within your reach of your two hands. And with the keyboard and mouse, it's more stiff, but it's still usable. It's just what you're used to. But most players start on consoles and then move to PC, still use the controller because that's what they're used to.
What do you recommend for the sensitivity and the viewing settings in Rocket League?
Sensitivity would just like, for example, if I get like normal sensitivity, I'll put it really low, just a bit higher so you don't get stick drift. So if you're if you have done 0.0, maybe you move a bit to left or right. You want to put a bit higher so you don't move a bit to left or right because of stick drift. But with, for example, dodge stats on, you need to look at, okay, if you, for example, backflip a lot when you try to go in the air, you need to adjust it a bit and make it a bit higher. Or when you double jump a lot, when you want to flip, you need to make it a bit lower. But for camera settings, I would just recommend maybe go to pro player that you like, or just look at any good player and think like, I like their camera setting, and just copy them. Most of the players have pretty similar camera settings, so 9% of the camera settings are really, really similar and just a little bit adjusted.
What advice do you have for anyone who is looking to get a job working in the esports industry, like working as a coach?
Doesn't have to be specific for Rocket League, but just get a lot of experience in the game. Just understand why does the team make that decision, and why does the team do that, and really understand the game good and how you can play it at a really good level. And then you can just maybe you know people in the industry and just ask them, yo, can I coach you? Because that's basically how I started. I just asked a friend that was on not a really high level, but on a low level. I asked him, are you okay with me coaching your team? And I just need to ask people, and you can, maybe they say no, maybe they say yes, and let's hope for you it's a yes.
How can people get in contact with you?
I have my Twitter at KuXXeon, or on Twitch. I also stream sometimes, but it's in Dutch. So if you don't speak Dutch, it's hard to understand what I say on Twitch. It's also KuXXeon. It's basically all my socials are KuXXeon, but I basically use Twitter and Twitch.
Okay, thank you for your time.
No problem.